You started the job because of your passion and what you love doing. You didn't start it because you looked at a spreadsheet to see how much money you could potentially make. No, you do music because you love music.
Myles Shear, also known as Manager Myles. When you look at like the last 12 years, was like the highest high and the lowest low.
And a manager, you're not making decisions. You're advising.
A pioneer in the music industry who manages some of the world's biggest electronic artists.
If there's a misunderstanding and we can't get the festival, like why are we begging for these music festivals? Like why don't we build our own music festival?
Myles is the co-founder of Palm Tree Crew, an entertainment and hospitality empire spanning music, live events, consumer brands, and investments. What do you think separates a great manager from an absolute world-class manager?
It's not a journey just to monetize our fans. Like we're just trying to build different levels of experiences.
What do you think Kygo saw in you? I want to understand how you got here. You started in music, what, at 15?
Yeah, I was like DJing and throwing like high school after parties when I was like probably 16, I think. Close enough.
So at that point in time, you weren't managing, you weren't on the business side yet. Like what was your first dream? Did you want to be a Kygo? Did you want to be a big artist? Or
I definitely did. I wanted to be the DJ.
When did you switch over to saying, hey, I'm actually going to be on the business side of things?
Sophomore in college, I was DJing at local at bars for like 6 hours and make $70. I really wanted to succeed in music. Mm-hmm. I was like, I went to school at this place called Full Sail in Orlando, and it's like a very focused group of people that are going to like basically follow their passion, whether it's film or music, mm-hmm. or, really selective industries. I didn't want to go back from Orlando to home without like success. Yeah, I want to succeed. So I wanted to figure it out. So I started thinking, I'm like, hey, what can we do? And my friend was like, hey, like, I found this artist from Australia. You could reach out to, like, sort of getting me ideas. And, I basically came across a link I listened to Kygo's music on SoundCloud. That was what everybody was listening to and kind of streaming at the time. And I was like, this is the best music I ever heard. Sometimes like you don't know who's on the other side of the sounds and the music. Like you can get any type of person, but yeah. When I reached out to him, he responded. We got on a Skype call and we kind of just hit it off. I mean, I think for him too, he was in school, so he was sort of like, we were both in this similar mindset where we both loved music. You got to open doors, right? Mm-hmm. And people are so quick to say, oh, this is what I love. I love, this one thing. Like I won't do something else. And especially when you're young, like you don't know what you are. You don't know really who you are fully yet. I think taking opportunities and trying new things, even to this day of when you have a successful business, pivoting and seeing what else is out there and trying new things, because generally if you're good at something, you're probably pretty good at something else too. Feels scary, kind of. I mean, I know I was when I was trying to start other businesses outside of management business. It's the same thing when I was 20 years old and I was, hey, I'm making music, I'm DJing, I'm in school for music, but like, should I become a manager or should I pivot to something else? And yeah, like I opened the door, I met the most incredible person. We really hit it off, and it just happened to be like, I'm not sure I was even born to be a manager. I don't, I'm not saying that I was, right. It was like, I think you meet the right person, you meet the right business partner, and you're like, wow, this is fun. This is easy. Yeah. We're having a great time. He's a great human being. And if you're looking at any business or company to invest in, like when it just, feels right and you're talking to a founder or CEO or the team, you're like, why would I not invest in these people?
That's good self-awareness too, man. I feel like, for people listening, like it's so easy to get stuck in some rigid idea of what you have to become. But you had the self-awareness, like, hey, directionally, I want to be in music. When the opportunity presented itself, you're like, you know what? Actually, I could be probably better at this because I don't want to be the guy making the music. And so I can use my gifts in a different way to work with the people I want to work with and do what I want to do. But it didn't look the same as I thought.
It's so crazy, like with experience of how much you can kind of learn, like, even the way I like talk to people. It's funny if I look back 12 years ago and I'm happy. Not that I wasn't at 20 years old, but at 21 years old, I think everyone's pretty crazy and riled up and you don't really know what you're doing. And you think you know what you're doing.
Yeah. So you and Kygo, you reached out to him on Facebook.
Yes.
Then you start Skyping. You didn't even know him.
We Skyped for 6 months straight without meeting each other.
And so was there any formal business arrangement then, or when did you guys make things official?
From the day we got on a Skype, I said, hey, I want to manage you. this is the percentage. I mean, we had some sort of understanding, but no, we didn't have a signed agreement or anything at all.
Just a handshake agreement.
Just a handshake, and then we formalized an agreement, I think, 8 months later. Now, after like I went and stayed at it, I stayed with his parents at their house. Like, I mean, I slept on the floor in his house in Norway next to, like, in like a mattress on the floor. I told you we had such a common interest that we both are excited. Like, we want to do music. And his stepfather, who's a great guy, Jan, who's the man. Like, I remember we sat down in his room where he grew up, and he was like, if you guys want to leave school, like, we support this. Like, wow. And it was kind of like Myles, like they're like, hey, if you guys want to pursue this, you want to go for this. I mean, look, there was no grand master plan of where we would be today, right, or even from 3 years or 2 years. It was also, I think, the era too. I mean, it's so competitive now in music. Like, I think for younger artists, I don't even. It's so hard. Like, I was talking to another manager who's very well established the other day, and he's like, it's tough to develop, and it's tough. It doesn't mean they give up on it, but it's just like, I think I also came in a really fun era, like that SoundCloud era. And I still think people break through, but for a period, it was like, I was having talent parties like, wow, Kygo was one of the last artists to kind of break through to like a Tiesto or a Kygo. Maybe that was like 5 years ago, 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, now there's a new wave of incredible artists that I love, to new dance artists that are just taking the world by storm and also pushing so many boundaries. And that's awesome. So yeah.
What do you think Kygo saw in you?
He tells me, I feel like when we've talked about it, that he's like, hey, you just had really good energy. You're like, hey, why wouldn't I give this guy a shot? And I think he's just a really good guy. And I think that's what makes him so great. He's always willing to give somebody a shot.
What was the first moment where you guys were like, oh shit, I think we made it?
Like I said, we talked on Skype every single day, not every day, but like a lot of days for like 6-7 months, strategizing. Then we booked one show, his first ever show in Paris. I remember we go there, we walk into this venue, he's playing in a back room of Moulin Rouge, some promoters putting an event on. Time I'm like his tour manager too, so I'm setting up his DJ equipment, I'm doing everything for him, I'm plugging everything in, making sure it's smooth, and it's basically like it's empty in the room as he's about to get on, and then all of a sudden, as like I'm about to press play, the room's filled. I see the room filling up. He's kind of like ducking down, like he's trying to. I guess he's trying to create some sort of like moment before he's about to get whatever. And I'm staring at him, and he's not. I don't think he's looking in that direction. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And I look at him, and he kind of sees it, and he starts performing, and the room comes completely slammed. People are like crowd surfing. I mean, this room probably fits 200 people, maybe less. People are crowd surfing. The vibes are immaculate. Everyone's singing every song he's ever made, like that he's produced up until that point. And we kind of looked at each other, and we're just like, it's on. We're like, look, we got this is it. And I think that's when we made the call to kind of leave school and just sort of focus on that and pursue that. So
that's fucking epic.
And before you knew it, he was, we were playing in Ireland, and the fees kind of grew. I mean, the first show he ever got paid was, 850 euros, right? So it was like, which is, by the way, at that time was still even like, all right, there's some, there's something there, but it's just the fee. Everything just felt like it was growing. Slow journeys are nice too, but I think there's something special too when things are happening really quick. And look, I think that I was the right business partner for him because I did, I kept up with how fast it was going. I like to say. You've seen too from companies that you've helped recruit for, that you've invested in, where sometimes they can't keep up, right? Yeah. Sometimes, and that's a different business. But it's funny because the same thing in music too. Like I see it all the time with artists who are exploding, and it's tough. It's not someone's fault. Like you can't force somebody to like be. Like everyone's got different ways of doing things. Yeah. But I see artists, and I see young artists. They could have become bigger than they are, and you got to have the right business partner. I think is really key, and I think that can also be very helpful to some artists. Just always making great decisions. He's very patient. He knows how to say no, which has actually taught me too how to say no, because I love to say yes a lot, just because I get excited about opportunities, and I've learned over the years of opportunities to say no to, but even still. I get opportunities, and it's tough, especially when you build new things. You want to say yes, and you want to activate them, and do as much as you can, and kind of just sometimes you feel like you're giving it your all. I mean, I'm sure you deal with that too, and then it's how do you kind of pull it back as well, because you want to be strategic.
It's that difficulty of like being strategic and return oriented and knowing how to allocate your energy.
Yeah. I mean, him honestly saying no a lot of times has actually turned our business into like a really special, peculiar brand. Like fans, when he does do shows, they want to go, they want to buy tickets if it's a Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, he's going on a world tour and he's playing, a Tuesday at TD Garden in Boston, which is crazy to me. And that's like just goes to show you that it's like this guy's, you know, a live artist, and the way we built the business and his fans are excited. It's not like you can go see him all the time. He's not overexposed. Has shaped the Kygo career. And also, you know, with new ventures we've built, I think that's always been a big part of the mindset, is to be exclusive, do it in certain places, make it feel exclusive and cool, and like that you're joining, you know, a great crew of people.
Right. I like that.
So
when you look at like the last 12 years in a snapshot, what would you say was like the highest high and the lowest low that you guys experienced?
I'll start with a low. So the low, I think, was we were killing it. We were on fire. Like I said, it was very young. I think he sold out an arena in Oslo, in his home country. I think he sold 9,000, 10,000 tickets. We were over the moon happy. We were kind of like, I was definitely cocky. I was definitely like, nothing's going to stop me. And I was like, everything, you know, we're going to take over the world. And I remember we were leaving the venue, and there was a security guard. And I remember like, I was kind of flying by night. I think the security guard was basically just doing his job and was trying to stop me because I needed a certain pass, or I don't even remember exactly what was going on, but I remember like I didn't get into a huge altercation, but I was rude to him, and I was very like just acting like kind of a brat and not like the energy that I should be acting, and it wasn't. It wasn't a good look, and it wasn't a good. You know, I think the person I was becoming was, you know, it wasn't a good situation. I think it needed to be fixed. Like I was a good guy inside, I think, but I think, you know, look, when things are happening, like you get lost a little bit, and. And I remember Kygo was like, hey, can you come in my room for a second? And I went to his room and we talked. And he's like, hey, man, listen, like, I don't like that. You can't do that. You're my, you know, we're in my country. That's not who I am. That's not a good representation. I know you're a really good guy. I think I was actually tearing up as he was actually saying this to me. He's like, I know you're a really good guy, but like, can't act like that. And my eyes just like woke up. I was like, oh my God, I'm back to life. Like, I was just like, I can never act like that. I must be nice. And but like, you should be nice to everybody. You shouldn't take that conversation. But like, look, for certain people it does, and I'm one of those people. It took it for me to kind of give me that coming to life talk of like, be nice, be good. You know, listen, you could do business and be professional, which I think I was being professional. But like I said, I was being kind of an asshole, you know, and that woke me up, and I changed my mindset. Like, so, and it's just, like I said, it was the way you should be. So that was like, I think, a low point, if ever, was with him, to be like, hey, like, you got to be a good human being, and you got to be you know, you got to treat people with respect. And now I like always think about that. And I'm always just like, even we don't throw our own music festivals now. I thank everybody. I mean, and you should. I'm not saying I should get anything for this, but I've just like really like learned, and I'm really going my way to be nice to everyone. You never know the problems that you're going to deal with if someone's upset. And I think just that customer service is kind of, it's like, it doesn't hurt to just be overly nice and to not like, it actually feels good. You know, like it actually is like a really cool thing. And if someone's mean to you after you do that, I mean, that is what it is. I think you can go to sleep knowing that. Like the highs, I think, were 2018. We were on a tour, Kids in Love tour. And look, I mean, we were doing arenas every night, which was crazy. We were, you know, we were playing the O2 Arena in London. It wasn't like everybody was complete happiness. I just think it was just really cool. You know, it was like all the hard work and the guys selling arenas out, and we were sort of doing it our own way. It felt like we were picking these venues, like, you know, no one knew how big it was, or that we can go play a stadium in Norway, or that we could go play, you know, 2 Hollywood Bowls in LA into a Bank of California, which was a state. Like, we were just kind of doing our own thing. We weren't really, you know, we were kind of creating our own system at that point. Even, you can go even a little bit earlier too. Even another high time was like when he sold out Barclays for the first time ever in 2000. I think it was 15. And it was like, at that point, like, artists that weren't top 10 on radio or big radio stars, they weren't selling like an arena out in New York. And Kygo was becoming a sensational streaming artist. He was like kind of the poster child for like the streaming world, because he was from Norway, and, you know, streaming was like, that's really where it cultivated, and then, you know, kind of worked its way over. But people were almost like, US was actually late on streaming. Like, radios weren't dictating. Like, if a song was #1 on Spotify at the time for streaming, it wouldn't translate to being a top 10 song in the US. Isn't that crazy? Now, obviously, it's, but like in 2015, that wasn't a thing. They were like, oh yeah, streaming, like, we get it, but like, we still kind of play our own, you know, we're not like, now it's like, if you're top 10 on Spotify, you know, US or worldwide, like, your airplay is ridiculous, isn't, you know, like, you're like, that's basically like, that is, you know, that's valued at the same value of it, right?
100%.
So
yeah, you mentioned 2015, 2018, kind of going back to some of the nostalgic moments. Do you think, if you look back, do you think the peak of fulfillment and highs are more on the come up, or after you've already made it?
I feel like sometimes things just happen so fast, and it's funny. Both of our parents actually like tell me this, and would tell us together join like, just enjoy it, take it in, like, and it does happen so quickly, and you just gotta like enjoy it, take it in, and enjoy those times where the shows are sold out, or enjoy those times where a song streamed really well,
Yeah.
or radio play, or just you got to take in the wins.
I want to talk too about Palm Tree Crew. I
Yes,
think what you're doing is fucking awesome and it's super innovative.
thank you, man.
And I want to kind of deconstruct what you guys are doing. So can you share like what is Palm Tree Crew and what's the vision for it?
Back to what I was saying with the pivoting and opening new doors, and kind of just saying, yes to like, hey, what's sort of behind this? Remember, I was watching, I think the U.S. Open one year, and Pharrell did all the clothes for Adidas for tennis, and I love tennis. I was friends with a few tennis players, and I just like that world. I was just closely watching like sports and fashion or whatever, or brands just like collaborating more than ever. Sorry, with musicians and entertainers. And I just loved it. I just looked at that. I loved that. And I was watching OVO, like the Weekends brand. I was like, this is cool. And I think Cactus Jack was also happening. Travis Scott. I was just watching these like brands and music and fashion kind of start playing a part, at least at that time. Because like I said, my head's been down for some years. I'm just working on Kygo. There's no other thoughts. Like you're not really thinking, oh, I'm going to build another business.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I wanted to expand my music management business, I was even like, I'm not, like I don't want to hurt Kygo's feeling. Like you're just like,
Yeah.
we wanted to create like an OVO or an EXO, one of these brands. And in the dance world, I didn't really know there wasn't many like brands. Like a lot of artists weren't like creating like I don't want to say a fashion label, but like they weren't like, I don't know. In the dance world, from what I saw, I wasn't really seeing it. And I was, we were chatting. We were in Ibiza. He was in the middle of a residency. It was like, I think he was doing 10 shows that summer in Ibiza. We're in Ibiza sitting down, and we're like, we wanted to create like necklaces and like just something for our crew to wear, right? And he's like, we're going through names, we're like Palm Tree something, because palm trees were very like tropical and part of the music. And he came up with Palm Tree Crew. We were saying different. I think I might have said Palm Tree Gang or something. I was saying I was Palm Tree. I was going all over. I was like throwing different names out. Yeah. And I'm not a great namer. He came up with it. He goes, hey, what about Palm Tree Crew? And I was like, that's great. And we started making necklaces for our friends and family. So immediately the crew started. They were like, oh, this is cool. They're like, this is different.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, they want to be part of the crew. They're like, can I get a necklace? And then we started doing clothes at like around shows in Japan. And there would be like, I remember there was like a couple thousand people lined up outside. And, look, could they have wanted to go buy a Kygo t-shirt? Potentially at that time, it was so early. Like it was, we were thinking it was basically Kygo, right? The idea with the brand was like to put Kygo logo on every time you make a shirt, or every time, you know what I'm saying? Like you want to create an experience for your fans, like create a community for them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we were trying to build. And I think with like, when you look at EXO by the Weekend, I was like, yeah, he was doing collaborations with other brands. It was this awesome business. And that's kind of what we wanted to build. So it started with t-shirts and making necklaces. We would sell like limited editions of necklaces too. And just like, and then, we started seeing it at shows. Fans were wearing palm tree necklaces and loving it. And I think the next step was to really form it as like an entity, like create a holdco. And we always love music festivals. We understand how to build it. He's the artist, I'm the manager. I get it. We're like, hey, like we should just start doing music festivals, because every time we're in an argument with a talent buyer, every time whatever it is, like if there's a misunderstanding and we can't get the festival, like why are we begging for these music festivals? Which, by the way, I still do beg for them and I love them. But my mindset at that time was like, hey, well, why don't we create our own opportunity? If we can't get this festival we want in this location, like why don't we build our own music festival? So that was step one. We want to build our own music festivals. Another step was we wanted to invest around that festival. We wanted to invest in consumer products, because we were doing that personally. We were investing in people that we would meet, or friends or family ourselves. And I was like, well, sometimes I would do a deal and then he didn't do that deal. And it was just like, how do me and him make sure every single time we're doing business that we're doing it together, right? So we want to invest together. So we got to make sure that this entity can also allow us to invest. And number three was a lifestyle brand where we can continue to make necklaces and clothes and sort of license out that brand to others. And then the last part is hospitality. Is, one day I'm like, hey, why don't we own a hotel, our own restaurant in Vegas, or our own, different kind of things that are going on? Like, why don't we own it all? And at least give ourselves the opportunity to, to allow someone to, hey, I like his crowd, I like his business, I want to be partners with this brand. This makes a lot of sense to me. So that's kind of what we did. We started a Holdco. We raised capital in 2020. I was raising capital in the middle of COVID. Literally, I had the idea formed. Everything was set. COVID hit, and I'm trying to raise capital. And I'm going around asking for money. As COVID's happening, all events are shut down. Basically, my concept of the company was to do events, right? And build around events. That was the whole idea. And I'm asking, and you know what? we got really lucky. We've had friends that we've been friends with for a long time, and people that just believed in us. And they're like, you know what? I believe in you. This makes sense. This is really smart. I'm going to invest. And then at that same time, imagine you go and raise capital, right? And then you can't even put money. I can't really build out a team to hire a team to start throwing events because it's COVID, right? It's 2020. We can start planning a little bit, but not. So we, like I said, part of it was investing. So we went out and we started investing, and we invested in a company called like Long Drink.
Yeah, Evan.
With Evan. We love Evan. We love that business. And I remember Myles Teller, we were at his wedding, and he showed me the product. I was like, this is the best thing ever. So the first deal we did was we did Long Drink, which has now become one of the most successful independent RTDs, ready to drink that's out there. I mean, the story, it's a story of its own in the alcohol space. And then we invested in Poppy Soda, which is a healthy probiotic soda. And we did a bunch of different CPG businesses, which was great, right? Because then we'll have all of these things available for our events when our events come to life. Mm-hmm. And we started making deals, and from that point on, we were actually even able to raise a fund just off the track record from that. So then we raised a fund where the Holdco is a GPF. So now we've got our whole investing thing set up. And then eventually the music festivals kind of come around, it comes to 22 or whenever, or 21, whenever. Basically the US kind of was sooner before other countries. So our first festival we threw was in the Hamptons, did great, sold out, loved it. And then we had the idea to do Aspen, which came the following year after. Fast forward, we're going to throw, 12 music festivals this year, which is awesome. We've built a great lifestyle brand where we had a huge partnership with Puma Golf, who's accelerated us into the golf space, which has been great. And our fans are going by. And we just announced our first hotel and beach club that's going to open in Miami. And like I said, the festivals and all of these things are we built it off like a licensing concept, right? So it's not like we're going and pouring cash into all these businesses. We built a brand that people want to associate themselves with that brings a certain crowd. And we're out there, really fighting to make the brand as good as we can. I mean, look, we live and learn. Like I've thrown festivals. There's things that have gone wrong. I mean, there's things that have and it hurts because I see it, and all we want to do is make, like, we really do. Like, it's not even like in the beginning you're reinvesting into it. So it's not like I'm walking away making a fortune off a music festival. Like, seriously, like sometimes it's a break even when you're starting a new one in a new area. Maybe you make sometimes, you can also lose, it's like we're really doing this to elevate the experience for the fans. We're trying our best, and there's things that we learn to fix on the festivals. And that's the thing too, is we talked about saying yes and no, right? Is when you say yes to all these things, when I start having, if someone wants to do a new festival tomorrow in this territory, it's like, okay, well now you're at 12, now you're opening, restaurants, hotels. And it's like, you got to learn to say yes and no to things. And I'm learning that now, of like, to not take too much on, because you can't let something go wrong at a music festival. You need to make sure that it's always, and look, we try and we do it in unique locations like St. Bart's and Aspen, and it's tough logistically to pull those things off. I mean, I have a great team and we try our best, and we really do. And look, some of them, everything goes well, and sometimes you have issues and we fix it and we become better. But if you say yes to all these things, then how do you either hey, if I got Dana Point coming up, I need to make sure that my focus is there on every single detail. I remember my eyes lit up, kind of my aha moment, sort of similar with Kygo, when I knew I was going to do this, was one of my LPs, I can say his name, Brad Garlinghouse, one of my best friends in the world, who we both know, greatest guy ever. He looked at me and he goes, hey man, I gave this music manager money like this, I think you're super, I would let me know, I would love. And that was at the time I was just wait, so he would invest and I get this and that. And my mind kind of opened to where I was I kind of have this I could build this company. I could do this this, someone trusting me and saying let's do this. I'm okay, great. So let's do this and let's make it happen. And everything's very cohesive for us. The way the Holdco has worked, versus us going and taking a brand deal for Kygo, it's well, I'm just going to invest in this product. I'm going to naturally promote it through my channels, through my music festivals, through my socials. If it's organic, it makes sense. Every single thing that we're touching and doing is we're part of, right? If he's going to go and give someone a festival play in the New York market, okay, I'll go play my own festival. I mean, how cool is that? It started with everyone thinking it's Kygo's festival, right? It started thinking it's Kygo's. Now it's he's not even playing some of the festivals. He doesn't even have to I think people just are hearing and seeing the brand and they like it, and it's its own thing. And I've done a great job, I think, with him of also separating, and he's done a good job at being like, because in the day, we don't want to rate something that totally relies on one person. You want it to be a brand that, of course, your fans and your community can come around, but I think you also want to like open that brand up for other people to be like, this is a good lifestyle. Like, I like good music.
Like the Margaritaville.
Yeah, like Margaret, and Jimmy Buffett, who I loved very, very much, and I learned from him. And just seeing how Margaritaville business was built was also a big inspiration for this Holdco, and his licensing business was a big inspiration. But I almost, Margaritaville is unbelievable, but I almost like, for us, I've been doing a lot of thinking like for Palm Tree Crew, and it's similar to the way like F1 is, right? Like, I feel like I like that. I've come to be like, hey, that model is also like we're like F1, right? Everybody wants that race. The people that come along with it are unbelievable. They license it all over the world, right? Everybody wants F1, right? And I think that's sort of like, Palm Tree Crew is like, hey, I want this brand. I want this crowd. I want what comes along with it. How can we do business together? And I love that model of the F1. I feel like, that's really what we're becoming, is a model that people want to go, they want to license, they want to bring. And look, it's cool because, like I said, we've only officially really been a company for 5 years now, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even a little bit less. So it's just saying it's cool, but it's also like, as like you see founders, you see that's what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, everything happens so quickly. So I sort of like, and a lifestyle brand, it's not something you can force, so you got to be also careful with that too. Because I'm not trying to force. I'm trying to do my job. The same thing I did when I was, how I've managed Kygo and I've managed other artists that I've worked with who I love very much, is I'm just trying to push things along. Yeah. And my team is trying to push things along.
Yeah.
And we're trying to accomplish. And look, like I said, I've mentioned a few different things, and it sounds like a lot, but it's all really cohesive. It's all a lot of fun.
Yes.
It all ties. And now with this whole hospitality coming out, like, we didn't know how soon that was going to happen for us, right? We thought maybe it's like, hey, we're just going to do festivals for I guess it's been almost 5 years of music festivals. Like almost 4 years of music festivals. But it was like, you're thinking about it, hotels and restaurants, you got to develop, you got to build. Like, those things take time, right? So that's been in the works for us for a couple of years, and some opportunities that have kind of come quicker than normal. And yeah, like I said, it's really exciting what's going on. I got a great team. Like, I have a great management team that's helping me execute. As you can imagine, it's like, it is a lot of moving parts, but it's controlled chaos.
Yeah. And
I think it's a good model too for like other artists to do. And it's not a journey just to monetize our fans. Like, that's not what we're just trying to build different levels of experiences. Yes, like anything with music, you can make money off music. You can make money off of different things. And also, I think for Kygo too, when we came up with this idea to be partners together, I don't know if he thought, hey, I'm going to tour for the rest of my life. I don't know if I think he also, as far as like us to continue the legacy,
right,
and to keep it happening, like, this is a new way to give fans of his fans and future fans and also bridge different communities together to have something that can last forever. And like, look at Jimmy, he's got Margaritaville's last forever. That's a legacy,
I think it's the most genius model, and people can learn from this, right? Like, anyone who's building businesses can really learn from this model. Because at first you're like, hey, I don't want to have to beg for spots at festivals. Yeah. So one, we're going to create our own festivals. Now we get the ticket sales from those festivals, right? Then you're like, cool. Well, instead of just doing brand partnerships.
And the data to know who's there and who's going.
You have all the data.
Yeah.
You have that. But then you have, instead of doing partnerships, you're like, no, let's actually invest in companies we align with and take equity in these companies.
Yeah.
And now we're part of their journeys.
And by the way, and we do have a couple brand partnerships that we do, like Don Julio's, but like, there's a couple things that like, we're like, this aligns with our brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Cause then you take the music money, reinvest it back into companies, and like, you're building an ecosystem, a lifestyle business. Yes. Like, you're building a community and a movement, right? Yeah. And it supersedes Kygo or a DJ set, right? Which is cool. It's really cool.
And also the idea of, an artist owning his hotel and owning clubs and owning bringing, like I said, bringing a place to elevate that experience. And even like watching, like, I'll give it like Guy Osiri, who is a really close friend of mine, like what he built with Ashton Kutcher. That was a big inspiration too, of like partnering with Kygo, building this company, investing in things together, and being very cohesive. And in a day, like, you know how it is with startups. It takes so long to like build success and to make money, and it's not like that we're going out of the gate and it's, blowing up. It takes time, but I'm just saying, like, when you want to start something new, you know how much effort and time goes into it. And I'm putting so much time and effort, and I love it, and I'm not going to stop, and I'm really excited for what's to come. And like I said, we're learning. Yeah. We'll make things better. we'll improve. By the way, we'll make our strategy better too. Like I was, literally talking to my CEO for the company for Palm Tree Crew Holdings yesterday of like, hey, let's get down. We got new ideas, but everything feels like let's tidy it up. Let's figure this out, and let's make sure we prevent ourselves from making mistakes, because that's the key thing is you want to try to make as less mistakes as possible and take your time. Even though opportunities can come in, or when you're fighting for opportunities, it's just like, you gotta take your time. And I think that's really important.
You know what's interesting? I'm like thinking about here, just trying to like read between the lines and why you've been so successful. And I think one thing that I can resonate with is I believe you really have a passion for who you're serving, for your both the DJ, both Kygo and your DJs, but also the audience, the fans. Like I think having a passion for serving the type of people you work with is really key. Like I was working in Fortune 500 companies, bored out of my fucking mind, no passion for serving those people.
Yeah.
I get into startups and I'm like, founders are my people. I will run through a fucking wall to come through for founders to build their teams, to make their company successful. And when you find that people or that group of people that you love serving, you care so much about helping them and making them successful that you'll run through any fucking wall.
You got to be passionate, especially be a manager for, it's a tough job. I mean, every job's tough, but like,
what are the hardest parts about, like, because we see you on, Jets concerts.
I think the hardest parts is like, hey, you want to create these great opportunities. You want to fight for the artist to do that, right? You work hard, and like, it's challenging when you're very passionate about something. And it's honestly like with Kygo, we have a system. It's been going for so long. Everything's really well run, but I just think in general, like it's the same thing. You want to control a company. You can basically control a product maybe or a company. You can't control a human being. And at the end of the day, artists are human beings. You can't force someone to go play shows, and I don't want to force it. Like I don't. I'm like very like, hey, you want to cancel a show? I cancel tomorrow. Like you don't want to do something? I'm the advocator. I'll go in there. I will do anything you want me to do. And I will actually tell you if I hear it in your voice, you're not feeling well that day, don't push it. But I think in general, like, of course, from another side of the thing, it's like, hey, I want to have 20 music festivals, right? Like, it's something I can, I could be like, hey, like, I'll go book talent. There's some artist that's going to want to perform that day. You can go, like there's, you kind of make those decisions yourself. And a manager, you're not making the decisions. You're advising. You're really mostly asking. You advise when you feel comfortable or you feel like, like you advise politely. Right. And by the way, you should never advise rudely, but it's like some people that are very open spoken. If you just go, hey, this is like, it can come off rude.
Yeah.
Because these are human beings.
Yeah.
I think that, look, you put a lot of passion and a lot of energy into it. And also too, like, sometimes you can get a response from not any artist in particular, but I manage over 10 people, right? So you can get a response and it's like, oh, that was kind of like a little hurtful. Cause like you said, like you're servicing, you're here to make them happy. Like seriously, like, yes, you're making money, but it's like you started the job because of your passion and what you love doing. Right. You didn't start it because you looked at a spreadsheet to see how much money you could potentially make, or no, you do music because you love music. And I think that even there's a new wave with the investing world where, like, obviously, yes, you say the word investing. Investing is to make money or returns, but like you are also like putting money into a founder that you want to see succeed, or a company. Same thing, like similar to an artist who you want to see win. Yes, I know the outcome is investing, but it's still like you're investing on both ends. You're investing your time and energy when you're managing. It's the same. You're investing either way. I think that like there's that new wave. It's been really exciting for me to invest and look at startups and consumer products and sort of take that journey with them too. But like you don't want a CEO or founder messaging you, or you want everyone to be nice and understand that you're just trying to help build the company, right?
What do you think separates like a great manager from an absolute world-class manager?
Creating things around that artist, I think, is important. I think it's building a really healthy, positive ecosystem where other opportunities can come out of it. Also, too, you don't need to manage everybody, right? You don't need to manage everybody. You could do business with so many people. That was also part of the whole co-strategy too. Is like, I'm not going to manage everybody. This is a way for me to do business with other artists and other talent through this entity of let's go and invest in something together, right?
Right.
Let's go and I think that that's something special.
I like the collaborative aspect. Like, let's just do shit together.
Yeah, and like I think as soon as you get that mindset, because I think there's a lot of world-class managers out there, and I think that like the ones that maybe are great managers are just kind of like very like they're just like, oh, protecting my artist. Like I'm scared. It's like be confident. Like your artist loves you. If you do a great job, like, and you're a good human, like that artist is, yes, there's crazy stories that happen, but there's crazy stories in everything that happens. Like that artist is gonna stick with you. They're gonna be with you, and I think it's like, hey, what else can we do together? Like, And it can be something as, you start a label together. I mean, that was my first venture I did with Kygo. Is like we started a music label together, and then it turned into like, okay, now we're partners on one thing. Okay, what else can we do? Can we start a holdco? Can we do this? Can we start a management company? And it's sort of like, I think that that's key to being a world-class manager, is opening yourself up for other opportunities and working with your artists on, trying to build other things and be like, hey, like, because like, listen, if they're once you partner too, I think is also smart, because it's like, you're showing them that like, we've been on this road together. We're really close. Like, let's do as much as we can together. Let's embrace this partnership. I think being a world-class manager is being a good guy, girl, being a good person, and doing right by your artists. Not taking the red Ferrari of someone off. Like being a stand-up person is really, I think, the ultimate thing being world-class. But I do think that on a business level, it's smart, because there's so many things that you can go and create with your artist. There's so many things out there. And by the way, a lot of people are doing it now. We're not the only people doing this. Like, it's happening in other fields. I always say, if someone's young and have great artists, I mean, and like I said, this is really happening and going, but I think that's a world-class thing to do, is partner and do other ventures. Like, I got other artists that I manage too, who I'm like, hey, what do you think about managing this together? What do you think about partnering on this artist? Like, I think you'd be great for this. We can help. Like, I love that. I think that's a really cool, badass thing. And I've watched other managers do it in different fields. And I've been like, wow, that feels like, to me, the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great fucking answer. Yeah, I love that. I got one last question for you, a fun one. Do you remember Men in Black?
Yeah.
All right. Do you remember that pen?
Yeah.
Deneuralizer that erases your memory? All right. So imagine you're about to get deneuralized, right? We're about to zap you. Memory's gone. But before we, zap your memory and you have to start over, essentially, you get to write down one piece of advice to yourself to take into this next life. What are you writing down?
Wow. Actually, so the first thing I'm going to write down is I love my wife more than anything in the world. I wouldn't be here without her. She's made everything possible. So I definitely would write down my wife's name and how much I love her, because that's basically my existence right now, is because of her. She's incredible. And then my second thing would definitely be being nice. Number 3, probably, open doors. What would you write? What would you put down?
Oh, dude, I didn't think about this.
Oh, yeah. What would
my
you
own
do?
question on me?
I hear you.
I would say be your future self. Don't be yourself. Like, always be living in a future vision of what you want to create for yourself. Don't feel like you're trapped in the past, or anything that you did in the past has anything to do with what you can do in the future. Like, believe in yourself and be your future self.
Amazing.